Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm really glad that you got in contact with me through care.com, Olga.
Yeah, thank you for coming. My husband and I were looking at your profile on care.com. We were quite impressed by your reviews.
Thank you so much. I've been nannying for a little bit, and I'm really glad to get to talk to you about Peter.
Awesome, awesome. So, what do you think qualifies you to be a nanny?
So I actually have about 10 years of caregiving experience over the course of most of my adult life. I was the oldest of 3 children. I have also been a teacher in a classroom setting, and I took classes while I was in college and worked with preschools in the area, just as a support staff, and got to learn a lot about children, especially the hands-on work, because I think there's so much of a difference between what you learn in class and what actually happens when you have to work with a child, like in person, and and they're learning and you're learning. So I have been just really been really excited to learn about children throughout the course of 10 years, and then work professionally with children one-on-one over the last 8 years as a nanny. So I'm qualified because I've had so many a broad range of experiences, and my love for kids specifically is in helping them learn, and finding these really amazing moments to grow their knowledge and let them teach me, because I've never stopped learning about all kinds of different things about how children play, and then children are so different. So you just, every day is a new day for both of you to learn, and that's what I love about nannying.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. That's very nice, very impressive. And have you ever received any first aid certification?
Yes, I do have CPR first aid through the American Red Cross here in Boston, and I get that renewed every 2 years. And so, yes, I have my CPR first aid, infant, child, and adult as well.
All right. Did you ever have a chance to
actually use
experience
it?
any emergency situation?
Yes, actually, not too long ago, it was one of the first moments that was really dire, and you had, maybe a couple, maybe like a couple incidences, but this one specifically, I had a child who was in my care, a brother and his sister, and they were playing, and he put something in his mouth and was turning to play with his sister, and it went down the wrong way. And because I had the CPR first aid certification, I did the back blows that you're supposed to do with the child to dislodge whatever's in his throat. So we got it out, called the ambulance, and called his parents, and both arrived, and thankfully he was okay, but it was very scary for him, and very scary for his parents too. So it was a matter of calming the child down, and his sister and the parents, but it worked out really well.
Oh, it's good.
Yes,
it's good to have that skill.
Yeah, it's so necessary. It's so necessary, and I get it renewed just because I know how important it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And what is the average age of kids that you work with?
There actually is no average age. I love every age group for different reasons. So I know Peter is...
He's turning 4 this year.
He's turning 4 this year. So with Peter's age group, I love the fact that they are in transition. They're learning about numbers. They're learning about letters. They're learning how to play with other children, and and just engage socially with kids in their age group. And he's coming up on a couple milestones too. And so I've worked with infants as young as 6 months, and in my own classroom I was working with 14-year-olds. So they were getting into their teenage years, and they had a whole other set of demands and things that they needed, their own milestones. So I've worked with a range of kids, but typically between 4 and 5, and then some infants, a lot of infants as well.
All right.
Yes.
So you have some experience working with them, and we are actually looking for some videos or some TV shows for our kid. Do you recommend something to us, or stay?
Would I recommend? So actually, the American Pediatrics Association, it just came out a couple days ago. I love learning about what's going on in the field. Just recommended about 2 hours of screen time for children a day. I know that I've worked with families who do not want any sort of screen time at all, and some who may allow it, and I always treat like TV and iPads and things like that just like as a treat. But I also think used well, they can supplement real live learning, and I tend to be the sort of nanny who I want to get out and play. I want to, let's get our hands dirty, let's do arts and crafts, let's learn a certain way, let's interact. And I prefer that for as an educational experience versus, relying on TV or anything like that. I think it could be a really interesting supplement. But I really prefer to do like get out and play, because children actually learn best through playing.
Right. So Peter is currently involved in some reading and writing classes in the morning.
Okay.
How would you organize his after-class activities?
So after-class activities, I believe that there are not enough opportunities, and coming from my classroom experience, I was always happy when I was able to provide my kids the opportunity to, my students, the opportunity to just play and direct their own learning. So I would like for Peter to go from maybe a classroom where he's, going through learning colors and shapes with other students, to something where he's just working and playing with me one-on-one, or playing with other children one-on-one, and give him the opportunity to explore in his imagination. So rather than just focusing on numbers and letters or any sort of writing classes or anything like that, he would have the opportunity now to go out into the playground. So we'd go out into the backyard, and if he'd like, we would play, we'd go exploring, we'd play tag, and that is just as enriching and can be just as fulfilling as, doing a lot of the classes and things like that. So I'd love to get out and let him play after he's been in a classroom.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic. Also, Peter is in the age when he doesn't behave well sometimes, or he's not in the mood. So how do you usually discipline kids?
So I typically follow the lead of the parent, because I think above all, especially in Peter's age group, consistency is best. My tendency, as well as a nanny, is to ensure that we talk through whatever issues that we're facing, because it's not ever the fact that, oh, Peter, and I'm just saying this as an instance, wants to just misbehave, but he may be tired, he may be hungry, he may not understand the directions, and so there's so much of an opportunity, even adults face this, for miscommunication. So I want to make sure that, if anything, I'm developing his communication skills and his coping skills. So if, for instance, if he may not want to get dressed in the morning, that's actually a common issue that I've faced before. It's talking through what are the issues around why he doesn't want to get dressed in the morning. What is going on that particular morning? Are you hungry? Are you tired? Do you need a second to yourself? And so sometimes I've found that, maybe sometimes he may need some space, or he may need me to communicate something a different way. But there's so many underlying issues before it becomes just a behavior issue. That's the way I was sort of brought up, is you're misbehaving. And so, you have the timeout or the spanking or anything like that. But there's so much that we can do in terms of having him communicate about maybe the things that are going on, addressing those, and how he feels and how the other person feels.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds fantastic, but would you mind cooking for Peter?
Oh, absolutely not at all. I would love to cook for Peter. I cook very healthy snacks. I also, can do some light meal prepping as well. If, does Peter have any food allergies or anything that he is?
Yeah, he is allergic to peanuts, so we try to avoid any food that contains any peanuts. Okay,
so we would not be having anything with peanuts, definitely. But I would not mind cooking for Peter at all, and it can do light meal prep. I, would make noodles, and we'll actually even talk about the food and the colors of the food, and chop up some vegetables and things like that, and snack on those in between, the meal. But yes, I definitely cook.
All right. And what, we would like our nanny to pick him up from his morning classes. Do you have a driver's license?
I do have a driver's license, but I do not have a car. I don't mind at all, and it depends on just what the preferences of the families that I've worked with. So in the past, I have either done a car share with the family, and so they may have a car that they would want me to use and have guidelines around using that. Or I have a Zip card membership, and I've used that before in the past, and so it depends completely on your preference. But I do have a valid driver's license, and everything is in good standing.
All right, sounds good. Yeah. And do you have any questions for me?
Yes, I do have questions.